And good morning. Welcome to Focus on Stafford County on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM, the talk of the town. Our chance to reconnect with the folks in Stafford County. The folks in Stafford County. It's been a while since Carolyn Dunn has been in studio. She is the Economic Development Director for Stafford County and also in on the program today, the brand new Assistant Economic Development Director, Kathleen Norman. Kathleen, how are you doing?
I'm good, Steve. Thanks for having us.
I'm very good. I was wondering why I couldn't see because I'm not sitting in my chair today. So, okay. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Glad to have you in here today on the program. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Kathleen, congratulations on the new position and kind of tell me how this came about because you had worked with the Stafford County Economic Development before. So kind of tell me about the journey to get this position in Stafford County.
Yeah, so I was the first AmeriCorps Vista that Stafford County Economic Development had back in 2019. And so I wrapped up my service time with them in December of 2019 and headed off on a job that took me to Colorado. And then, I don't know, as everyone knows, 2020 was an odd year for a lot of people. And so within that time, wrapped up my work contract in Colorado, and economic development was looking for an assistant director, and Carolyn reached out. And at first I wasn't necessarily sure that I was ready to make the move back to rural Kansas. But after some thought and more conversation, it was like, I think this could be a good fit.
It's hard to say no to Carolyn.
It is.
Yeah, okay. Just telling you. So
she can be persistent.
So give us your background again and kind of, how you came to Stafford County the first time.
Yeah, so the first time the AmeriCorps position was focused on employment opportunity development and somewhat workforce development. And so that's kind of where my background has been. Within college, I did an internship in poverty reduction up in North Central Kansas, and then I worked up in that way for several years after college, doing nonprofit management and community development work, and then got into some different things and found the AmeriCorps position and thought that would be a great opportunity. And then I was doing workforce development work out in Colorado. That's what took me out there. And full circle, I'm back. I think it's a broader job description now. So I am also doing communications and some other of the management side of the organization. But I think moving forward, it will be continuing to look at how do we, utilize kind of the workspace we've developed and doing programming there. How do we, engage with more of our communities? I think we've talked about potentially like a job board, things like that. So I think there's a lot of good and exciting opportunities, as well as working on the existing projects that have been kind of in the housing realm and now the Port Authority.
Where's home?
So I grew up in Papillion, Nebraska, which is a suburb of Omaha. And I went to college out in upstate New York.
What a journey.
I know. And so, but Kansas has been home on and off for the past 9 years or so.
Wow.
I'm thrilled beyond description. She is a fantastic fit for this, and just a fun person, a pleasant person to work with. And
how long did it take for you to think of Kathleen when this position came open and Ashley was going to move on to new opportunities that Ashley had?
We both, I don't know. I mean,
you never wonder if they're going to come back,
Right. It probably, took us some time to we're evolving kind of even that position. What we described Ashley's position as was program director, and she did focus a lot on carrying out the programs that economic development does. But, in reality, she kind of functioned like an assistant director as well. And so we've kind of evolved that. And so it was some discussion about what Kathleen's hopes are, longer term plans are, and kind of what we hope to accomplish here with the organization. We're hitting kind of a new stride, I think, a new phase in our economic development organization with some of the bigger projects that we have either completed or are underway. Housing will be a big push for us in 2021. And, as we now commit ourselves to being rental managers for not just 3 properties, but in total 14 properties, that will be, again, a new phase for us. And I think Kathleen's totally up to the task of helping us through that.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about some of those projects that are taking place. We'll do that right after this here on Focus on Stafford County.
Trey Bergen with Ag 360 Insurance in St. John. We are an independent agency offering several types of insurance, including crop, farm, irrigation, business, personal, and life. We would appreciate an opportunity to earn your business. Feel free to stop by our office at 103 East 4th Avenue in St. John, or give us a call at 620-549-3579. You can also check us out online at ag360insurance.com.
The friendly staff at Stafford County Drug appreciates your patronage. The lobby is open and they offer a convenient drive-up window. They'll even deliver your prescriptions in Stafford, St. John, and Maxville for free. Stafford County Drug knows the value of a hard-earned dollar and wants to work with you and your doctor to make prescriptions easy. For any questions on switching your prescriptions to your local pharmacy, call pharmacist Chris Davis at 620-377-5633. Stafford County Drug, open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Inside White's Food Liner, Highway 281, St. John.
SJN Bank of Kansas knows the value of rural Kansas and is committed to all of the communities they serve, personal to business banking and more. They offer mobile banking options too. Download their app at SJN Bank of Kansas and find them online at sjnbank.com. Serving you since 1905 and with 6 locations. SJN Bank of Kansas in St. John, Maxville, Hudson, Burdett, Greensburg, and La Crosse. Member FDIC.
Welcome back. Focus on Stafford County. Carolyn Dunn and Kathleen Norman in on the program today. Okay, let's get going here. Housing. What's going on with K-State House and KSU House? I like it. And additional houses have been approved. So kind of give me the update.
Well, the house that we're building on 8th and Broadway in St. John, it's been, a project that's been going on for almost a year now. It's not necessarily come together quickly, but it's, again, been an unusual year. And as I remind people often, that this house is as much about the education aspect as it is about constructing housing. So we feel fortunate that it's been able to continue in this unique year. It's been constructed primarily by students in the College of Architecture at K-State. And so some things that we've had to work through are the fact that they have been restricted, for example, to driving even together to get here, and then they can't spend the night once they're here. So each one of them are kind of committing to about a 5-hour trip of driving each day that they are contributing their volunteer labor to putting the house together. So it's really taken a lot of commitment, especially from the professor, Michael Gibson, that leads that studio class, and we're very, very thankful for their commitment to seeing this project through. It is, at this point, you'd call it dried in. It's, on the outside, it's got siding and roof and so forth, but we have the remainder of the inside finishing work yet to do. So this house has been, of value because it's a unique kind of demonstration project, an educational project, and trying to find a way to build more affordable housing that's not just affordable to build, but it has a lot of features in it that are intended to make it very affordable to live in. Energy efficient, makes use of passive heat, for example, some things like that. But the other thing that I think has been really valuable about it is that it has helped us present a proposal to multiple grant sources. And we now have funding to build 9 more of them of the same model. These won't be built by students. We'll be hiring contractors to do that. But for our organization,
9 more
we've now been approved for over $1 million in funding to continue replicating this. So there'll be 9 more total 10 rental houses, and we have lots of data that express how rental availability is a real problem in rural areas in general, but I can tell you the data very much exists for Stafford County in particular. So it's a need, and this won't be the full, meet the full need, but it's progress. It gets us a little closer to where we want to be.
How many new houses have been constructed in Stafford County in recent years?
Oh, you would ask me that. There have been more houses built outside of city limits by far.
Okay.
In Stafford County in the last 10 years. There were, and I've looked at this not recently, but there were entire years in the 1990s and early 2000s when there wasn't a single house built at all in the county. So I think it kind of starts to paint this picture of how we haven't had consistent investment in housing over the decades, and that's why we have the struggle that we do right now, that the housing that exists is increasingly in deteriorating condition. There's a lot of housing that's 100 years old. Our average age of house is getting toward 80 years old in Stafford County. And it's so, like I said, we haven't continually invested throughout all the years. There has been some more housing built in the 2010 to 20 period. But again, I think more of it was outside of city limits. So there's still a need to kind of invest in our towns, and that's what this will attempt to do.
The K-State students that have been, how many from Kansas State were involved with this? I mean, they've got to be pretty excited about it, don't they?
The studio class from 2019, 2019 to 2020, they're the ones that made the design and did the initial research and so forth. I forget exactly, but there was around 19 students in that class. But it's really bled into the subsequent year, and the ones that have really done the majority of the construction work are the next year's class. A few of the alumni came back over the summer. We had some days of really focusing on it for a week in August, and some of the alumni from the original class came back for that. But from August forward, it's been the new net positive studio class, and I think there's probably around between 15 and 20 students in that class too.
I mean, it comes from Kansas State, so I mean, are these blueprints going to be available for other communities to kind of follow the same path in a way?
Well, that's interesting. I don't know why we wouldn't share them. I mean,
this is a St. John and Stafford house, and a Maxville, and a Hudson, and
we've very much approached this as an idea of trying to crack that nut of how do we find it more feasible to do more housing construction in rural areas. I think fundamentally the reason that we don't have more of that construction is that the costs of new construction typically exceed what our prevailing incomes are here. And so, whereas an entry-level house might be something close to $200,000 in a more urban area, that house is, in the context of Stafford County, more than twice the average house value. And, whether it's a matter of your income literally doesn't support the mortgage payments on a monthly basis, or you find it too much of a risk to invest in something you're not sure if you were to sell again would bring what you paid to build the house. For both of those reasons, those kinds of houses just they're not appealing enough for enough people to make that leap and invest in them. So we've been trying to find a way that we can build housing that's closer to what the prevailing value of houses is. So the challenge to the students was, can you build a house for around $100,000? Not $200,000, around $100,000. And, the idea that material costs have increased a lot in the last 12 months since we were doing some of those estimates, we may have to be more, forgiving with that particular price point. But still, we're dealing with a house that hopefully will be, half of what some new housing goes in at. and for that reason might be more affordable. And I keep saying it's not going to be for everyone. It's not, they make some trade-offs that not everybody is going to find appealing, So for example, it does not have an attached garage. It does not have a basement. Those I know are two features that a lot of people really value, but they add cost. And so it may not be for everyone, but if it in this case, it's 3 houses per town roughly. As long as it meets the need of 3 per town, it's progress. And by building a housing program, maybe we have the opportunity to fund different initiatives in future years.
Carolyn Dunn with us. Kathleen Norman also in on the program today. We'll take a quick break, back with more after that.
SJN Bank of Kansas knows the value of rural Kansas and is committed to all of the communities they serve. Personal to business banking and more. They offer mobile banking options too. Download their app at SJN Bank of Kansas and find them online at sjnbank.com. Serving you since 1905 and with 6 locations. SJN Bank of Kansas in St. John, Maxville, Hudson, Burdett, Greensburg, and La Crosse. Member FDIC. The St. John Jubilee Committee reminds you to always shop local first. COVID-19 has been hard for all. Remember, stick together and be community strong. Be courteous to others, be aware of your surroundings, and practice common sense. Small town values, old-time traditions. The St. John Jubilee Committee looks forward to all of the fun times ahead. Find out about these events happening around the square on Facebook at Around the Square, St. John, Kansas.
Back on Focus on Stafford County, we've talked a long time, Carolyn, about the Port Authority. Well, and as you said during the break, have some traction on this right now.
We do. So this is a concept I've talked about before on the program. We were initially given authorization for this organizational structure by the Kansas legislature in 2014. Our Stafford County Commission then authorized the creation of it in 2015, and at the time, we were hopeful to have, developed an anchor tenant, but long story short, it fell through, and the structure of the Port Authority has been idle since then. But in 2020, we were able to find some grant funding along. The time was just right. We also had a company that was interested in the idea of building a grain loadout facility in Stafford County. So the combination of those two things has now kind of revitalized this. So what we basically just have some of those components to really be able to move forward now in a way we haven't had before. With the grant, we were able to get construction level engineering drawings done. And we also have purchase options on 2 tracts of land along with a signed letter of intent with the grain company. So our hope is that in 2021, we'll be able to use those components to secure some finance to build the infrastructure as the port and actually set up operations. So this concept, it kind of, in a way, we're following a lot of the same template that we found success in with our grocery store in St. John, which is a public-private partnership where we share the investment that takes to establish operations in the first place, and by doing that, get some business going that otherwise probably wouldn't have gotten started. So in this case, what we're doing is the Port Authority will take on the cost of the land and the railroad infrastructure, and the grain company will assume the costs of all of the improvements that are needed to load out trains. So all the big grain bins, the high-speed load-out equipment, the scales, the office, that will all be their investment. We expect our investment to be a little less than $7 million, their investment between $10 and $17 million. And I hope that we'll be able to finance the Port Authority's side of the investment with a combination of grants and loans. We will theoretically, this is our goal. We're working through these things, but to be able to use the new property tax that comes onto the tax rolls because of the $10 to $17 million worth of investment of the grain company, that property tax revenue can be directed specifically toward loan payments that we might take on with this. So in total, we'll be able to incentivize this development without any new tax burden to Stafford County taxpayers. And in the meantime, generate 8 to 10 direct jobs, up to 30 jobs in trucking and support services. And this one, I think, will be the biggest economic benefit, is that we can expect grain prices for farmers to increase when those more efficient transportation methods are there. The basis decreases. So, farmers are going to be able to deliver their grain locally at a higher price per bushel. And that's really where I think a lot of the broad benefit of this will come. And then secondly, because our Port Authority, a public entity, owns that rail access or that rail, we don't have to be limited to just this company to use it. We can also be working with the next business that might need rail access to establish. We'll have space. We'll have space to offer them and be able to lease land and be able to lease access to the track and generate more traffic beyond just the first.
Where do you look to see this being located at? West or east?
The purchase options on land are just south of St. John, south and west a little bit. It's about a
So that would
mile.
be the access. Oh, so it's going to be.
It's a mile outside of city limits, roughly.
Okay,
But,
so there'll be a spur line going to the main rail then? Is that?
yeah.
Okay.
The way this works is that it's spur. It's a 1 mile loop track.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
And so the way
Kind of
this
like they
is
have down in
designed-
Pratt County too. So.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
People may be familiar if you go east on 54 Highway in this area, you'll see one at Canton. It's a similar kind of concept.
Okay.
There's sprinkling of them around the state. We've designed this so that hopefully, that if we had the opportunity to have other type of traffic, whether that might be offloading highway aggregate or liquid fertilizer or general warehousing or wind turbines or whatever, those kinds of additional commodities could be incorporated into this.
And you've got a pretty good railroad line coming through there that goes from east to west.
It's true. And I'm very, very thankful that BNSF has been very supportive of these plans. They've been involved in the design work and seem very eager to serve. And that's an important aspect as well.
So you got a meeting coming up on Monday, February 1st. Board members appointed. So this thing is really going. That's great news, isn't it?
Yeah. The county commissioners formally appointed the board members just yesterday. And so they meet for the first time on Monday, and we'll just keep knocking pieces off and try to make continual progress in 2021.
Well, next time you're here next month, maybe our salespeople won't be doing such an outstanding job of selling advertising because a little bit shorter show than we normally have. Kathleen, great to see you again. Welcome back to Kansas and welcome back to Stafford County. Look forward to working with you as well coming up in the future. Guys, thanks. That's our show today. Focus on Stafford County. News coming up next on KVGB Great Bend.